Hey, good morning, folks. We are going to continue our work on the book cover commission for Enno Raven's Shatterer, a Underdark trans-dimensional adventure for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition that we'll be publishing on DM's Guild, created by Andy Headley and Brian Holmes. So Andy helped me with the creation of the Eberron adventure that I stream cartography and artwork for on Mondays and Thursday nights. So if you haven't checked that out, like, subscribe, swing by. And we talk game design, DMing tips, and painting. So I'm going to check my signal here real quick, make sure I'm coming through, and then I'm going to make sure I'm coming through. Mic check. And then I'm going to yeah, good. And then we're going to I'm just going to go through my intro spiel here real quick. Make sure I know that I am up and running. Yeah, it looks good. Okay, cool. So let's see. I'll try to get through my intro here fast for you all so we can just get to work. So my name is Phil Kearney. Hey, I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and then I publish them online. Normally, I would be talking about the different books that I create on DM's Guild that you can look through if you're a D&D enthusiast. And if you're here for D&D stuff, you're certainly welcome to do so. You can check out my Patreon for links to different works that I've produced before. And when we get to 500 subscribers, we will be offering a free brush set. Stuff that we've been using during this and the previous the previous commission that we had done on Saturdays for Ukulele's Reclamant role-playing game that is in production currently as well. So if you're interested in that stuff, thank you, and I'm glad that you like D&D stuff. If you're here just for the pixels, hey, we're making a book cover here. So let me go ahead and click this over. I'm here 6 days a week doing various projects, either creating games or painting them. I always provide notifications on Twitter X if you're still on that platform. I'm at Phil Kearney. You can get notification when I go live if you wish, but best way to stay in the loop here on YouTube is to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and we're trying to get to 200. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year. We're at 219 currently, and looking to hopefully have other people take interest in what we do here, stick around, and help me grow the channel. So hey, this is a book cover we created. We're in the process of making it, and we are pretty good with the environment around it. Now we get to integrate this this abyssal weapon to be tromping through a dimensional gate that it tore through reality to come tear up this Bob Ross scene. So let's deconstruct this real quick before we get back into it. We're going to go to the good stuff here, and I am going to bump. Just eliminate and hide all these layers so you can see them stacked back on. Because we're on episode 7 today of this project, and this is, of course, how it started with a rough frame, the Enno Raven, the Shatterer as a title, and then additional subtext line will be added here. So then we paint in a sky, Bob Ross style. If you're familiar with my works, then you know that I'm a Bob Ross enthusiast. So we create Bob Ross layering sky. And then we added in, of course, the mighty mountains to help separate the sky from earth. And then the hills that proceed before them to help ground the mountains into the picture. We have distant forestry that we've laid in. And then we have foreground knolls that we cover over with more forestry and vegetation. Some more in-depth copses of trees. We then lay in a bending river and foreground mounds of earth that have more copses of trees added to them. Hey, there's my 20-minute timer. I have a 20-minute timer going to make sure I don't lose focus of where we're at. So we got that going. And now, hey, what's up, my guy? Hold on, let me see what your name is because my screen is a little weird. Plant you a planet. Hey, what's up, guy? And then, yeah, so the copses of trees, and then we create a shoulder here for the river to bend across. And then we lay in the blast site where the portal will appear, including actual ground concussion and swept back trees. And that is more swept out trees to help further frame the blast of the arrival through the dimensional gate. And then we have our foreground terrain, our turf, tarmac, ground grit added in with the happy little Bob Ross cottage that now has a tree going through it. So that got wrecked, and that was caused by boom, the arrival of the Abyssal weapon, Enruven's Shatterer. It shatters reality. It steps through it to tear up the world. So we've got, this is where we're at right now. We're going to start working on this mid-ground area here of the portal and the weapon moving through the portal. So we did the past, basically the past 6 episodes to create an environment that gets destroyed by the arrival of this weapon. So some may say that I kind of pontificated there a little bit and just kind of carried on with a background because I love doing Bob Ross. That isn't really that relevant to the picture, but this is some of the Easter eggs that people get if they pick up on it. So we're going to build ourselves. We have the weapon, and then we have, this is our trash folder, and then we have the portal itself. So this portal, when it arrives, it deals force damage, which can be coded pretty much any colors. If you're using the Magic the Gathering color system, white, blue, black, red, and green colors of Magic, then force damage is generally going to be black, red, or white. So that means I get to use black and red are Abyssal colors, like Rakdos is the demon guild in Magic the Gathering. So that's pretty fitting here that we have a black and red theme kind of framing the illustration. But I think when I'm building out this portal, I'm going to create another layer here inside of that. And now we're going to start looking at doing a paint over. So I'm going to switch to just a basic round brush. I'm going to look at what this red, I want to think about a red pit with a white radiance, so that I can create, like if I have like a white highlight like weaved into this portal effect here, then that gives me a lot of opportunity to have direct lighting at different angles on this thing. So I can have fun lighting effects and like reflections and glistening and interesting shadows, I think. So I'm going to start this off kind of like this. And then we're going to go with, what do we want to use? Sorely tempted. Yeah, I'll just use the basic brush, the basic smudger, and we'll pull that smudge brush up to a 90% strength, so it has an it retains almost all of the pixel information it grabs. Today is oh, no kidding! I did not know that. Neato. Well, there's no sun out today in Seattle. Hold on. Yeah, we're not gonna see it. We've got rain, so no solar eclipse for us today. Seattle might not even see it. I don't even know where it is in the world. This is an idea. I'm just kind of futzing around with this. Since there's such a high pixel, the strength of the smudge brush is so high that it can smudge a little bit of these together, but it also retains a lot of the individual color, even though I'm grabbing and pulling them both at the same time. So it makes it's a fun way to kind of mess around with this energy splash effect that we're working on here. And I don't necessarily think this is going to end up looking good, but it's a way to start having like something like this, maybe not this specifically, but a thing like this helps us build, like I was talking about, where the color information in the piece is coming from. So when I'm working on my shadows and highlights for when we actually paint this this monster, then we'll have a proper... You got to do your lighting first, is what I'm trying to say. If you're doing a picture, if you create the subject before you know where your point of light is coming from, by the time you get done with your piece, there's no guarantee there's going to be continuity and angle and lighting, and you have to figure out where the lighting is supposed to come from based on what you create with the pose, and that may not end up, you may not end up liking it. So it's best delaying the color or delaying the light source first before the color starts working with those points. It's just basic. It's basic logic. In reality, when we're looking at things, we always have a point of light first. So best to use those same physics for your pictures so that your pictures look more like they're based on physics. This might be obvious, but I'm just saying it. So I'll be able to come back and like hit these trees with like highlights like this, right? Because the radiance that's coming off. So we'll be able to have a more of a lit effect in this area around it, like highlights on this trashed house, like that, you know, stuff like that. So we'll be able to come back and do all that. And plus, since this thing's stepping through the portal, we'll be able to have its hand here along the ground, showing exactly how huge this monster is compared to like this house. So that's that'll make for good referencing inside of the piece for a sense of scale. I kind of like this idea here. And then the red further blorbling out like this with these little bubbles that we're looking at. I think that'll be a lot of fun. I can see myself wanting to spend hours inside of here just doing acid trippy sort of stuff, but we're on a clock, so I want to make sure that I'm getting things done but moving forward. But this is not even our final form. We will have I want to get a better curve going on in there. Oops, that eraser should totally be a circle. Thank you. Proper circle. There you go, boyo. Like that. Just blending stuff in, tossing in some color, mucking stuff up a bit. Kind of like that. I don't have to get too intense on it right now. This is just, like I said, we're just laying in the format for where lighting in this piece is going to be coming from. Yeah, something like that. Is that a bit? I think I'm even more of a perfectionist than I need to be right now, but I want to at least make sure I understand what the spaces that we're going to be filling with this thing, so I know how to have this weapon stepping through the snow globe of destruction. What's up? It looks like this. That's how they feel, right? Yeah, I work fast, man. You blink an eye and you miss it. I use that new AI filter. This feels tilted a little bit. I want to skew that a touch. There, that at least guarantees it's round. we can come back and pretty this thing up later. So just merge those two down there and get rid of that for now. I have a lot of fun doing framing around here. Have all that stuff burbling up and like I said, right now we're just kind of fucking around. What I'm doing is I'm easing into the picture and I'm kind of eyeing the monster itself, thinking about what's my next step with this, how are we gonna do. It has a very metal armored feeling right now, but that needs to be converted into a sinewy flesh bone sort of necromantic abomination. Instead of being armored, it needs to be gristly and wet with sinew and blood and ichor. So we're going to be working on that. I wanted to build this way initially just to get the structure of it properly, to get the tank feel to it because of the cannon, but it's supposed to be made of meat. So I will next be converting this into, I kind of have like this flame up sort of effect, which I kind of want to be bleeding up into the Shatterer here. It's kind of the idea that I had. I don't know if this is going to end up jiving or not, but for now, this is what it's doing. So whenever we actually figure out the lettering on that, we'll actually have to change these as well. But we're also going to want to have a degree of separation where we're like this cuts off, like this is going to cut off somewhere around here, right? So it ended up being like this is the actual illustration, like that sort of zone. All this framing that we're doing is we'll be able to pull that away eventually. But for now, it's fun having this stuff interact and mingle, kind of create a mood, you know. Working hard, hardly working. once you get maybe I don't know how long it's going to take each individual to get to the point where they can relate to this, but after a while, after you've been painting long enough for you to trust that your body knows what it needs to do to be able to the muscle twitch actions that your body will perform to paint, like the act of painting is just muscle twitching. At some point you just trust that your muscles are going to know how to properly twitch when you think about something. And that lets you stop specifically worrying about what the results of it is that you're doing. You can think more about you can focus more time on the feeling of it, or like the ratios or the proportions. Like the thing is going to do. It's going to look the way that it's supposed to look based on what your body is capable of performing. So that frees up brain power for you to focus on other things. So obviously not doing well right now. So take that. I don't even know why that came up. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm talking about. Something like that. There. Okay, so that's decent little portal framing shit for now. That's probably all I really need to do for that. So then let's get into this stuff. First off, I want to finish. There. Oh, that's right. There's front grit that's messing with me. That makes a lot of sense. Hold on. Can I move this mid-ground to the foreground? Not really. I'm having layering issues at the moment, so hold on. Foreground. I'm going to have to cut out this hand and then put it on a layer above the foreground so it doesn't get in the way and it can interact better, but it's good enough for now. Yes, my timely timer, keeping time for me, thank you so. Let's restart that. Another 20 minutes to kick. So let's do that over here. Oh, that hand's completely concealed. Let's just drop that for now. is trash. There we go. Yeah, see, I'll have to... copy and then paste like that. I think I might want to pull this in a bit. That feels more in ratio now. I'm just looking at the proportions here. Not much on talkie right now. I'm kind of being quiet here to let the muse find the architecture and the proper drafting for this thing before I start converting it into sinew. I'm pretty happy with how it's sitting though. It's a pretty fucking cool machine. I like it as mecha. I'm hoping that it turns out as well as sinew. Little pathway you can take to come up here and send the control, like the cockpit or the pilot seat. Okay, I think conceptually we're pretty good. Let's duplicate this layer, and we're going to have a single layer here that we can cut through and fuck up, tear apart as we need. So I'm going to, we're still using, looks like red as our base. How is this red? Fair to this red. Why? It's significantly more. It's like an unnatural red. That's DM's Guild red for you. see. Do I maybe want to drop the opacity on this and work independently of it on a separate? Is that dark enough? Let's go here. That's, there we go. That's a good dark red. All right, cool. We can use that for us rebuilding the limbs. So let's just start here on the back leg. Let's just, I think what we want to do is start with larger forms, and like we can then zoom in and start doing like little smaller scale stuff. So I think I want to think big first and then work our way down. To smaller scale. Really drop that back a bit. Nah, that's not how I want to do that. Let's take that back a bit. I'm starting to think about sinew and bone attachments and the gristle of it all. So I'm creating these little ball sockets like on thigh bone. Since it's a switchback leg, it has basically 2 knee joints. So I can create these big, interesting knobs, these bone knobs. And then we can paint over those with sinew. And then we should be able to add in wetness and ichor drippage. So we're currently working on this structure to make sure that the bones can connect to meat. That. Connections like that. So we can do a little fun gristly tendon bits in here, like with maybe with a lighter like tannish or something that can transition into the white of bone. I don't know. Do demons have white bones? I bet they have black bones. We'll see. We'll see what the muse wants to do. I think she has an idea of where we're going with this. But all these little points that I'm making are little tendon spots that are going to be able to hook the meat of this giant thing together. This is going to be fun. This is a lot of fun. This process of just throwing down lines and playing with the form and letting it kind of emerge, it's a discovery process. I mean, I have the overall structure of what it is and the low opacity here as a frame. But as we go through and we make this stuff more organic, we'll have an opportunity to see little opportunities crop up to make cool little things, and they'll just manifest along the way. Like I'm looking at this large plate that we had here as like almost like a chitinous grasshopper sort of carapace going on, but as we strip that away, we can see that plate there, that chitin plate, was actually also protective. It was armor. So if we're getting rid of the armor, we have to have some sort of other defense. So if you don't have heavy plates, you need to have deterrents in the form, and deterrents on Earth generally are spines and horns, spikes. So that's why we're in here. And as I add those in, the bone, the sinew has to warp around these things that stick out. And this monster wasn't grown, it was stitched. So having tie-on points for muscles and tendons and stuff feels like a fun little necromantic effort. This makes me feel so much Dark Sun. Dark Sun was awesome. There was, for those that aren't familiar, back in the 90s, there was like a post-apocalypse Mad Max sort of high fantasy setting that was created for D&D by the owner of the company at the time, TSR. They created they call it Dark Sun. It was a red sun that was dying. It was going to go nova at some point. So you have a kind of a ticking clock if you want it. Like Morg Borg style would be great for a Dark Sun campaign, because the sun is going to go nova and destroy everybody. So that's a fun fantasy trope to play with. But in the D&D setting in general, like I said, it was like deserts and barrens and very little water left in the world. So everything was hard survival mode, that if you kept all the survival magic out of your game, made it an incredibly hostile environment. It's like only playing, it went to level 30, like normal D&D goes to level 20, but this went to 30. And the power levels were just absurd. But ironically, the game was most fun when your characters were so low level that magic couldn't keep you from dying in the desert. And then you throw them in the desert to die and see if they live. So Dark Sun was a very, very fun hostile campaign. Like it assumed that you had 3 characters that you could rotate between at any time. So if one of them does get killed, you aren't just left twiddling your thumbs. You've got another character that's already part of your Mad Max convoy, as it were. And you just queue them in and play them instead. And oh god, I love that. That's a really good base for ropey missile clutcher. But yeah, this is working out great. But the point is that it was like mutant atomic, like it was like Magitech Atomic Punk, where magic caused the world to be destroyed, and then it has all the tropes of Atomic Punk, like mutants and giant bugs and stuff. And to that point, necromancy was pretty common in Dark Sun. Like it was very much like a resource system to take things that have died and animate them to be repurposed. And there were it's Atomic Punk, so Nausicaa, massive creatures like giant bugs, right? And well, you'd kill these things, you'd take your army and you'd kill it, and then you would use just an over-the-top magic ritual to animate it as an undead war machine, like a 300-foot war beetle that you could put like a whole army inside of. That's what Dark Sun was kind of about. Like that was one aspect of Dark Sun, is that absurd level of military force through giant creatures that are either enslaved or undead. Enslaved, one way or another, I guess. But like that was like massive armies was like a background, was like a campaign threat in the game. Like the city states, like there's 10 city states ish, maybe 12, that are like the points of the points of dying light in the campaign world where characters could go and be safe. And so they were these dictatorships that may force a raffle for sacrifice or whatever. Everyone was enslaved to the sorcerer kings that ran these city states, and so they'd have tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of people that you could be drafted into an army to keep that civilization safe against monster or other city states threatening them. So you'd have these massive armies that would kick across the desert, get slaughtered, get raised by necromancers, fight again. Very Carnath-y, Eberron Carnath approach to combat. But that was such a staple to what Dark Sun was. So this thing just makes me think of giant war beetles. Is basically where this conversation is coming from. About 20 minutes. Got our thigh bone here. Building out a pelvic structure here. Like that. Yeah, the Spelljammer book I've been illustrating in the mornings. I'm excited about getting that done. We have the Eberron adventure to complete as well, and we have the Martial Powers project that we've been working on. But coming down the pipe, probably like 2024, like probably late 2020, like a year from now or so, we're going to be working on the mass combat system and guild system that we have. Bastion will be fresh off the shelf probably if it survives playtesting for 1D&D. We'll be seeing a Bastion system initiated, which we'll have to counteract. We'll have to counterplay with our Guild and Kingdom system, be able to provide deep downtime activity, kingdom structure, or guild leadership without having to bog down gameplay. So it's as deep, it's as immersive as you want your game experience to be, but it can be as background as you wish and still be implemented in your 5e games or 6e or whatever it is that it evolves into. But it's using a renown system that's going to be pretty much immune to additions, assuming that we retain proficiency bonuses and ability stats as a means of succeeding at skill checks. As long as that remains true for 5e, our guild and kingdom system can work in Dungeons and Dragons. So it works for 3rd edition too, works for Pathfinder. So I'm questioning whether I want it on the DM's Guild or if I want to try to do a Kickstarter with that late 2024. Kind of excited about it, but the reason I bring that up is because the Spelljammer book that we wrote rose from a mass combat system we had been developing in 2022, and we put it on hold because Spelljammer happened. So much of the mass combat book that we created was currently being play tested for vehicles, and it turns out that the vehicle mechanics we used worked perfectly well for Spelljammer. Once we got our hands on the rules that WotC finalized for what Spelljammer should be, it just turned out that they were perfect. So decided to set the mass combat system on hold and proceed with the Spelljammer book, and then we could reverse engineer from Spelljammer back into the mass combat system, so that the two fold together. Vehicles are basically just single, like a troop of 100 soldiers can fit inside of a 50-foot square, or you could have a 50-foot structure like a vehicle or a single siege machine or a creature that also fits that 50-foot square. And depending on the CR or like the challenge rating of that army and those creatures are, it's effectively the same thing. So like this thing being 70 feet long and about 50 feet wide puts it on scale as the Tarrasque, and at this 50-foot scale would fill a 2x2 space. Even though it doesn't completely fill the 2x2, like it could be 100 feet by 100 feet. It's only 50 by 70, but still it fits inside of that larger space. So that gives you a frame of reference for like an army of like 100, 200, 300, an army of 400 like peasants taking on the Tarrasque. That's chances are the Tarrasque is just gonna win, but that peasant army could at least slow it down for a few rounds while it chews through them. So like that kind of gives you a sense of perspective about power scaling and hit point capacity and action economy as a group versus individual creatures taking actions. That's kind of where we're going with that stuff, and that just naturally curved into just single vehicles dealing that damage as single attacks at a larger scale, which makes me think about this thing a lot. So So for now, I'm building this base platform here. It's like a plate. Let me get that angle right. So I'm both building. I have to have. There needs to be scaffolding on this because there's like a pilot. There's like there's a control station up top there where people like a medium-sized creature can sit to basically mind control this thing to fire and you know take siege attacks and stuff like that upon command. Hold on. Free transform. Vertical. Let's do this. Oh, that's fun. Huh. That's kind of fun. So what happens if we free transform, flip it back? Maybe. Okay, I see what you're trying to do. let's do that. I feel like this is like tilted or something. Let's do that. That looks fun. That's a little off center now. Let's keep our center line in mind. It's supposed to be here. There we go. That's pretty dope. Where's that down? Nice. That looks pretty fucking fun. I like that. Oops. Just make sure we're working on the right layer here, Kearney. I'm going to put a lock on this one. Just make sure I don't fuck it up. Yeah. Center point. Good. Pretty good, Kearney. Transform to reduce that. What time are we at? 10:24. Okay, great. So this will be our last 20-minute burst. Merge that down. Figure out how to do these mounds. This looks so cool. I love this. That's just dope. Just dope. I'm still figuring out how this this joint works. Something like that. Start getting back into this armored plate effect that I don't want, so I'm going to thin this down to be more of a, oh, I don't know what the forearm bone is, no, the bicep bone is called. I know the femur is a leg, but I can never remember the name of the arm. There we are. This is starting to fill in very nicely. I'm going to leave these forearms for another time. I think I want to just focus back here a bit. See if I can... cheat this leg into being... skew a touch. And then perspective a touch. There we go. I'm not making a lot of talk today, am I? Pretty quiet. This has been a pretty intensive effort for myself, though, so I feel sorry per se. It's just, I like talking more. Just don't have the speaks today. There we go. So far, so good. I do like that blast shield a lot. Like that. I'm gonna keep that. All right. I think we're done for the day. Just about. How are we looking on our timer here? Yeah, we got 2 minutes left. All right, so I think I'm going to leave it here for now. I think we're coming along pretty nicely here. Dope. All right, so trash portal. So when we come back, we're going to finish up doing this line, this rough line work, and then we're going to continue to sinew it up, and then we'll drop in. We'll put the color layer in underneath the artwork. We'll merge it together and blend it together. And at the blending points where the sinew goes into the bone that we have there, we can put tendons as like stitch grips. So that should work out pretty well. We're starting to get a little mechanized up here again as we're moving into the shoulders and the turret structure. So I need to retain the fleshiness of the piece. That is one of the strong aesthetic goals of the composition, is to respect the fleshiness of it. So I got these ball joints going on here. I've got this strut cannon system here. I've got this dome on this head type piece. I need to make sure that I'm keeping that fleshy language like we have going on here in the hips and the back leg here into the knee. Like that's all very fleshy, and I'm feeling very satisfied with that. We have this this main bone rod here that I think we can like do like a shoulder flank pectoral muscle sort of array through here, blending this together. I think that'll work. So we're gonna let the anatomy sit. We're gonna come back next week and we're gonna finish up the line work here. This thing's cool. Yeah, we'll finish up the line work. We'll drop in the background base color, and then we will continue to build this out. So let's get that in place. And there, and let's grab So we got that thing coming out of the portal into the environment. We'll be able to chunk up the ground around that a little bit more as well. I like how this hand is using this torn up tree roots as a grip. That makes me very happy. I like the positioning on this. I think it's coming along very, very nicely. And we have a nice bright effect in here. So we got like the dark, the light. Then we'll have this dark from the portal effect here, and then the light, and then darker again, and then light, and then dark here in the middle with highlights, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark into that. So we got that same cadence that I like of the dark, the light, the dark, and then lighter here, and then dark again. So I always want to have that. I always want that stepping, striation, laddering effect to separate one element from the next. I think that is a really fun compositional challenge, and I think it strengthens the overall look of the piece when we finish with it. So, but yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut stream here for the day, guys. I really appreciate anyone who's swinging by taking a look at this stuff. We'll be back on Monday in the morning to continue working on Spelljammer Combat and Exploration ship art. I think we're going to do some Eldrazi stuff on Monday. And then Monday lunch, and then Monday night we'll come back in and we'll do more Eberron cartography for the homestead that we've been mapping out. Yeah. So I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys on Monday. Thanks a lot. Like I said, we're trying to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year. If you thought this stuff was cool or interesting at all, consider liking, subscribing, and checking out my Patreon. I'll see you guys on the other side. Thanks a lot.